Come see us on tour in Cohoes, New York, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, and Toronto. Go to jimmydore.com for the cheapest tickets.
I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy Dore. We're talking to James Galbraith, economist and professor at the University of Texas, Austin, about Liberation Day and Trump's tariffs and the market turmoil that has resulted. James Galbraith is the author of many books, including his latest, Entropy Economics, The Living Basis of Value and Production. And Professor Galbraith, I wanted to get your response to some new reporting from the Washington Post on how these tariffs were calculated by the Trump team. This comes from the Washington Post's Jeff Stein. President Trump personally selected the now widely mocked formula for determining country-specific tariffs from a menu of options, multiple sources say. Numerous Trump aides had for weeks been at work crafting country-specific tariffs that took into account a broad range of tariff and non-tariff barriers. Several sources said more sophisticated approaches had been developed. I can't confirm precisely who authored the one Trump picked, but it bears striking similarities to methods previously backed publicly by Peter Navarro, the ultra-trade hawk. And here are some of the details from the inside story on President Trump's whirlwind decision to blow up global trade. Not long after Trump's inauguration, the administration's economic staff went to work on a daunting task, determining tariff rates for dozens of countries to fulfill the president's campaign pledge of imposing reciprocal trade barriers. After weeks of work, aides from several government agencies produced a menu of options meant to account for a wide range of trading practices. Instead, Trump personally selected a formula that was based on two simple variables: the trade deficit with each country and the total value of its U.S. exports. So, Professor Galbraith, what do you make of this approach by Trump, shunning the formulas that were given to him by his aides and instead going?
Well, it's quite astonishing.
Yeah.
First of all, it's nothing like a reciprocal tariff arrangement. It is not connected to the tariff rates that other countries are charging us. The trade deficit that we have with any particular country is an entirely different matter. And what the apparent basis of this is the idea that we should be engaged in balanced trade with every country out there. And the world hasn't worked that way. And I don't think it's ever worked that way, but it certainly is not working that way in recent times. And the tariffs are very unlikely to achieve that result, but I don't understand why you would want to. You look at particular cases, well, you find that and with certain very poor countries like Madagascar or Lesotho, you have countries which export vanilla or diamonds or something like that to the United States, and don't import very much from the United States because we don't produce anything they can afford to buy. And why would you hit their exports with a big tariff? It's a very strange strategy. But that's a really sidelight. The major thing here is the effect on our major trading partners, and I think here there are two separate broad cases. One is with Mexico and Canada. The tariffs are relatively light, and the idea there, I think, is to basically make it survivable for those companies which have very, very deeply integrated supply chains with those countries. And the other part is with China and with the extensions of the Chinese trading bloc in East Asia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Thailand, where companies have been leaving China in order to establish export platforms for the United States, and all of that's coming under very heavy tariffs, against which the Chinese are retaliating. And so, what I think you're going to see there is just deepening integration of the Eurasian economic sphere. Japan, South Korea, and China have already gotten together in a very remarkable meeting to coordinate their response. And I think you're seeing it to the extent that there's a strategy behind this rather strange formula. It will consolidate the Asian economies as a internal trading bloc and reduce the cross trans-Pacific trade by substantial amounts in favor of North American trade.
So here's an example of how the Trump administration made its tariff calculations. This comes from James Surowiecki on Twitter. Just figured out where these fake tariff rates come from. They didn't actually calculate tariff rates plus non-tariff barriers as they say they did. Instead, for every country, they just took our trade deficit with that country and divided it by the country's exports to us. So we have, for example, a $17.9 billion trade deficit with Indonesia. Indonesia's exports to us are $28 billion. So 17.9 out of 28 billion equals 64%, which Trump claims is the tariff rate Indonesia charges us. What extraordinary nonsense this is. I mean, first of all, do you agree, James Galbraith, that this is nonsense? And, explain
It's
more.
had nothing to do with the tariff rates that Indonesia charges or the Vietnam charges or the China charges. It's not connected to the tariff rates at all, which I say is not the tariff that's being imposed is not a reciprocal tariff in any normal meaning of that word. So it's a confected number, which is supposed to represent trade barriers generally, but it doesn't. It represents the pattern of trade, which has a lot to do with the income levels of different countries and what the composition of what they export and what they import. The United States exports very high value products to the extent that we still have them, and those tend to go to high income countries to a larger extent. So there's only a certain number of aircraft and a certain number of, let's say, oil field systems and a certain number of medical imaging devices and so forth that low income countries can absorb. So this is there's an underlying, if there's an underlying idea that we should have balanced trade with everybody, it's obviously something of a pipe dream. But again, I don't think that's. I mean, I think you look at the results and then you say, well, this is really going to hit the suppliers that are based in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and it's going to. Because of the easier deal that Canada and Mexico got, it will hit them less, and maybe there will be trade substitution, which will strengthen their trade with the United States. Although even they will experience substantially higher tariffs than they've had before.
And what do you think this means for the goods that these countries produce that provide cheap products for American consumers? Like, is this era of cheap goods, cheap merchandise, is it over?
Yes, I think we're going to see very substantial increases in all kinds of consumer goods. Anything that's is coming from Asia, that supply chain has just been hit with a very big tax, and that will show up basically as a kind of sales tax on American consumers. Lots of food products will be subject to very substantial cost and price increases. They're coming from. I was just reading about seafood. 85% of that's imported, and a lot of it is imported from Asia. And you're going to see that's a product with a very short shelf life, and you're going to see price increases there. Quite substantially. So the American consumer has been living for a long time on the strength of the dollar and on the free trade system and the willingness of other countries to ship us goods at low prices. And the Trump administration come in and put an end to that. And they have certainly have a tool that will make that happen. And the first effect will be on living standards. A second effect will be on the financial system, I think, because the companies that are caught up in supply chain disruptions are going to have trouble meeting all of their commitments. So we'll see that. And I think that's what you're seeing in banking stocks. There may be an effect on the dollar as well, which would contribute to further cost increases. Down the road, what they're hoping for is that there will be investment and increase in import substitution, we call it, increase in jobs in the United States. And that's a very problematic proposition. And my view is it would take a lot to reverse the damage to the industrial base of the United States over the last 40 or 50 years. You would need a lot more personnel who are capable of doing that. You need a lot of investment in infrastructure. You need regulatory structures that will press corporations to make those investments. And they're just relying on the market for that. And that's a good luck. You're not going to get it What you're going to get is the empowerment of a small subset, of American companies that will take advantage of the higher prices that they can charge, and the American consumer will, take it, will absorb the blow.
Hey, free speech is under attack, but Rumble refuses to back down. We've always believed in empowering voices, no matter how unpopular. And now we're taking that fight to the next level. When major advertisers conspired to pull their dollars, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their backs, claiming Rumble had a right-wing culture. But we're not here to fit a mold. We're here to defend free expression. To strengthen this mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits for viewers and creators. You'll find exclusive content from creators like Russell Brand, Dr. Disrespect, Timcast, and the Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than just a subscription. It's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. Join Rumble Premium. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan using promo DOOR10. Visit Rumble today. Go visit rumble.com/premium/DOOR10. and claim your discount today. Together, we can turn the tide, whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching. Your support helps keep free speech alive. Come see us on tour in Cohoes, New York, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, and Toronto. Go to jimmydore.com for the cheapest tickets.